episode 97, sponsored by Privateers Harley-Davidson. Today we have Ontario ATC coach Jesse Gough, as well as Halifax native Andrew Keys. Let's do it. Hello, folks. How are you? Welcome to episode 97 here of FLA Exposure. Dropped the ball a little bit on the intro. I'm having audio issues. Really, if I'm not doing these episodes every day, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So my apologies and thanks for your patience. Again, episode 97, sponsored by our friends over at Privateers Harley-Davidson here in Halifax, the East Coast largest dealership. Great event, really great supporters of East Coast MMA for a long time and martial arts in general. So check them out at privateersharleydavidson.com. All right, let's get into it, folks. We have a fantastic show here, episode 97. Hard to believe. I guess before we get into it real quick, I want to give another shout out to Beat It Sport, a great sponsor of ours. 400 nitrates, 400 milligrams of nitrates in every single dose. Let's try it out. I always take it before training, about an hour and a half before training, folks. 100% pure concentrated beet juice with lemon. Don't smell it. Oh, yeah. Woo. Shit. All right. That gets me hyped up for our first guest of the show, folks. Black belt under Mr. Jake McKenzie and Rowan Cunningham, the MMA coach at Adrenaline MMA, with, the list of killers they got there. Obviously, Mr. Mark Hominick, Horodecki, Stout, Clemens, now obviously Jesse Ronson getting his dues, which is so great to see, not just for Canadian MMA, but also those guys and their team. They put a hell of a lot of work in. Jesse's come out here, competed as well for us. A really great guy for martial arts and just an all-around positive person. So let's bring him on. And without further ado, Mr. Jesse Gough. How are you, buddy?
How you doing, brother? I'm good.
Awesome, man. Good to see you. I always wonder to pronounce your name. That's correct. Gough, right?
It's Gough, actually.
Shit.
It's okay. Dude, everybody gets it messed up. It's all good. It's not an issue at all.
Well, that's the spelling. I know that.
Yeah, everyone gets confused about that. I always just tell them, say the word cough and then put a G in front of it, and it's that easy.
But I should have known that. I should have went to our event. But how you been, man? It's been a while.
I've been good, man. I've been on quarantine for a couple weeks. I just got back from Fight Island with Jesse Ronson. It was a freaking awesome experience, man. Frightening and awesome at the same time, but it was pretty cool, man. And for him getting the win the way he did, I'm proud as a coach, man. It was awesome.
I bet. Yeah. It's we'll get back to the trip itself, but like going back to Jesse right away, we have it, for a guy that's put in his time, he like 3 really tough decision losses. I think it was 3. Am I correct? In the UFC?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Really tough fights too. And he's a guy that I kind of grew up watching when I got into MMA. Like, as always, obviously the other guys too, but Jesse was like when he was fighting for the Score Fighting series and stuff, and just like a really high level fighter. So it was really great to see him actually get his dues, man. Absolutely,
man. And to be there was like, to be like there with him and share the moment was awesome. I can tell you it's just a crazy experience. He's definitely way better than he was with the first round. This time coming around, I don't see too many people at 55 stopping him at all. I mean, he just stopped a guy that's never been stopped at 170, and he's fought some of the toughest guys. So I was thrilled for Jesse. It's something that he really worked hard for, especially after the debacle in December, like back in when he got cut. I was there with him. To see it like just taken away from him like that was hard, but he doesn't quit, man. He doesn't quit. He worked hard to come back, and you're in that shot, and I was super happy to be there with him.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I love how you're a very passionate guy, very similar to me when it comes to this sport, right? You wear your heart on your sleeve, and I think that's, and that's for the good. Like, I don't know anything bad about you, Jesse, and I don't know you super well, but
I appreciate that.
It's like I wear my heart on my sleeve, and that can be good, but it can also be bad, right? But I think it's an important thing, right? To show your emotion and to be really proud for someone. It's an incredible thing, because you guys you're like this, right? And you go over there and do that together.
Yeah, I was actually I had my whole apartment matted, so he was coming here to train, and we did 2 camps. just getting ready just in case something came up. And like that's like the kind of guy he is, man. Like he wasn't going to just sit around and do nothing. So I said, okay, let's train, man. And he showed up, and he always shows up. Always surprises me because sometimes I'm like, why'd you do that? Like, you know better than that. And then we'll be like we were at the fight. We took some time and went did some grappling. And I was like, dude, where was all this in training? He's like, it's in there. Don't worry, it's in there. He's just like, I'm like sometimes it's like, so I'm never gonna bug you about this again in training. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know better than that. And he's just like, relax.
Yeah.
So
just one of those supernatural athletes too, isn't he?
He is, man. He's gifted. His striking is like unreal. Like I've held pads for him. Like when we were there, I swear to God, I thought he broke my hand. I was like, wow, dude, you hit hard. Like hit this guy like that, and like we're good. Like everything was good. Like the kid's unreal. And to be his coach, and like I've been at like every fight since the Dufour fight with him. So I see his process, and we got a good thing going, and things have been going really well. I think the whole last year was a lot of bad luck. Like it just seemed like he couldn't catch a break. And we were like persistent. It's like, don't worry, everything's going to work out. And I told him when 2020 rolled around, before the pandemic stuff, I was like, after he won against Troy Lampson, I was like, dude, this is your year. Like, there's no way that you went through all that stuff. We went through all that stuff that 1 year, and it's not going to work out for you. I mean, something's got to give. I mean, that's just the way the world works. So in my mind, that's how it should work.
It should.
We were lucky enough, Lucky enough it did. He sent me a message late one night. He's just like, look up this guy. And I'm like, okay. And he's just like, don't say nothing. And I'm like, all right. And then a few seconds later, he was like, man, UFC, Fight Island, we're going. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So, it was awesome opportunity. And, he worked hard for it. And I was a little worried because it was at 170. And I was kind of like, after the Lampson fight, I was like, dude, let's just be finished with 170. He's on the small side of 170. He had the same issue that Chad LaPrise had, and I was like, man, I'd rather you fight at 55. You have no problem making the weight now. He's like gotten really good at it. So, but he took the risk and it paid off, and a huge paid off. Like I'm so happy for him. Like he got the bonus, and I was there with him when he got the bonus. It was just a moment. I'm just honored to share the whole thing with him. It was totally incredible.
Cool, man. That's awesome. That's really great to hear. I love that. And it's a really kind of crazy story when you think about that whole journey of his, man. It's really bananas, and it's quite it's a story that really should be told more on a bigger platform, because it's a story of like never giving up and continuing to fight for your dreams, man. And like that redemption at the end is just like a come around story. And to be part of that, like you said, Jesse, is cool. And it would be cool if it was there, Canada Center, but also the fact that you flew across the world to fight out and did it there is even more crazy, right?
It was nuts, man. And the whole process is like, it's different than, because I've done TKO, I've done PFL with Jesse, like, so you see the process of how the shows work, and it's like, it's a lot different than your local shows, but like a lot different. But this one, the first thing they said was, this is going to be different than anything you guys experienced. So I'm like, oh God, right? So at least I'm not like in it alone, like Jesse's in it with me, right? So the whole process of all the testing was, they were very, very very cautious to protect the fighters, the area. They told us they did 30,000 tests for COVID when we were there, and nobody tested positive. We had some false positives, but everything was like, the way they handled it was unreal. You know what I mean? It's like, and you're out of the country. All this stuff is going on. You got to be careful. You got to I think they were but like basically, I've been doing the math, and I think I was gonna say this to Jesse today. I was like, man, I think we've been quarantined for almost like 4 weeks. Like we had like zero. Sorry,
like you would have been quarantined over there too, right?
Yeah, man. So what happened was, like, we landed and we had to drive to Toronto. We flew to Vegas. Once we got to Vegas, they took us to the hotel. They tested us right away. We were locked in a hotel room for 48 hours. We couldn't do nothing but stay in the hotel room. And oh yeah, I brought a video game system. Like, I kept them busy, man. I'm not a gamer. I more or less bought it for Jesse because I know he is, right? I'm more like movies and DVDs and stuff like that. So anyway, so they tested us, and then we got it cleared for the first test. That gets you on the plane to Abu Dhabi. Like, okay, so now we can go. So what happened? We get on the plane. We fly to Abu Dhabi. The minute we get there, they take us directly to the hotel. As we're walking in, we're like hand sanitizing. Everyone's got masks on. Doesn't matter who you are, you got a mask on. We get into our hotel room. We drop off our stuff. We go downstairs immediately for testing. They test us. We quarantine back on our room. We're in there for 48 hours. The minute we get cleared, we get a little band says we passed, but we got to go get tested again. So we take another test. So and then we're free to walk around because you pass 2 tests. You're okay. And then you have another test on weigh-in day. Okay, so we go weigh-in day. Jesse weighs in. Everything's good. We take the test. I mean, like, we haven't left the friggin' room, dude. Like, we should not be testing positive at all. So we're good, right? So he weighs in, does the face off, all that. Then we get back to the hotel room. We got a whole plan for the next day, for fight day. We're going to wake up, going to go to the beach, let him get a run on the beach, get him a little warmed up, move around the cage a little bit that they had out there for everybody. And then, go back to the hotel, and we're going to sleep right till time to go to the fight. And like, okay, great plan. Yeah. We go to sleep, and then we wake up and we get a phone call, and it's 7:30 in the morning, and they're telling us that Jesse tested positive, and we're like, there's no freaking way, dude. Like, there's no way. And so they come upstairs and they test him again. All right, so we're like, great. All right, so they test him, and then I'm like standing there with my passport because I'm thinking I got to get tested too because I'm in the room with them. And like, you test me, and they're like, no, you're good. And I'm like, okay. So all my tests came back negative. Every single test I took when I was there came back negative. So Jesse had the false positive. So we're like, okay, well, they got to test him again. So then they come back at 9:30, says, no, I got to test you too. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so they test us. And the whole time me and Jesse are going like oral, one in the throat, one up the nose. I was like, my sister does that for a living. She says it's not comfortable. Go for the throat if you can. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So we go ahead. And they're like, okay, no, we got to test you again. So they test me, and then they go back. We'll get our results in like 5 hours. And this is fight day. Like, we don't have, this is not good for a fighter. It's like he needs to be prepared, right? So we end up taking the test. They come back later, and they're like, we have to test you guys again, but this time we need both. We need the nose and the throat. And we're like, oh God, I don't want this right now. So we're like, okay, well, we got no choice. So there's no fight. So we take the test, and then we're like, do you guys have the results from the first ones? And they're like, oh no, there's going to be in a little while. And we're like, man, we've been waiting like 5 hours. Like, this is crazy. So we finally get the results from the first one. They tested negative. Now they have to test the nose and throat. Apparently the nose is the most accurate. So that's why they did that. And we're like, okay, whatever. Wasn't comfortable. It sucked, but we did it. Yeah. We get the results, and they come back. They're negative. Okay, great. So the fight's on. We found this out like 2 hours before we got to be downstairs. Right. So finally, we know. Okay, he's fighting. But the whole day, everyone's telling us, don't worry about it. Just keep preparing. Like, you're fighting. And it's like, it's one thing to say that to us, right? But we've had so much bad luck that like, there's no way we're going to be calm about this, man, until we know we're walking out. So they finally get us downstairs. We get dressed, and Jesse gets his hands wrapped, and we're standing there, and we're like, oh, thank God this is happening. Like, as soon as his hands started getting wrapped, I was like, there's no way anything can happen now. They're not taking this from us, right? And the whole time, that's what we're thinking. Is just like he's worked too hard, like, and it's not right. It's like something has to work. Like, the way the world and karma works, it's like, man, this is, you know what I mean? He's not a jerk, you know what I mean? As much people might think he's the way he is, a little cocky online and stuff like that. But dude, he's like literally the most genuine guy I've met. Like, I wouldn't train him if I didn't think that, right? Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough that he's let me do it. You know what I mean? He's had a lot of guys help him, and I'm just fortunate enough to be one of the guys, right? So yeah. But crazy experience. And then he goes in there and wins and chokes the guy out in like the first round. And I'll tell you right now, I was shocked. I was like, I did not think it was going to be a finish. I thought more or less we were going to go 3 rounds because Dalby was so tough, and all the film that we'd seen is like, look at the guys he's fought, right? So we got to be really smart about this. And then what Jesse did was he's like, I'm going to feel him out a little bit in the first round. He's like, don't panic, like just remember what to say and all that kind of stuff, right? And then he felt him out a little bit, and then next thing you know, he dropped him, and we were like, everything we had seen previous, like in the other fights, is like nobody really. They've dropped them, but no one capitalized on it, right? They got really excited and then just tried to finish him. And Dalby is super tough. Like it was very hard for guys to finish him, right? Like he fought Darren Till, and Darren Till couldn't finish him, and it was impressive fight too, right? So when Jesse dropped them, done. It was awesome.
Break his nose?
Who did Rodson get his nose broken?
No, Jesse break his nose when he hit him.
No, it was elbows, and he turned a little bit, and then he kind of grinded his face a little bit to get him to turn. Yeah. We got the mount, and then as soon as I screamed out elbows, I think he heard that, and he got a little scared, so he kind of bucked and gave up his back. And we had seen him do that in previous fights too. I noticed that, especially when he got mounted, when you mount him, he'll reach up around you and kind of hold you, very old school Gracie kind of style. And it's like that's great against someone that doesn't know how to fight, but that's someone knows how to fight. We're gonna deal with that really easy, right? So Jesse just stuffed his head and went to elbow, and he turned. And Jesse's been really working that rear naked choke. I can tell you from absolute 100% experience of it, he did that choke to me on the Wednesday before the fight, and I was like, Jesus, man, that is nasty. As if you do that, it's over, right? And I didn't think he was gonna get it, but it was like as soon as he gave it up, and we seen it, I was like, dude, he's doing it. And then as soon as he gave it up, it was over. I was like thrilled. I see the fight. I finally watched it, and I'm on there screaming and freaking out. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm that guy. But it was
you should be proud of yourself.
It was awesome. I was more proud of him. I am I'm very fortunate. My story's to be where I'm at right now. A lot of people that know me would tell you there's no way this would have been me years ago. And I really. Sorry?
Hard work and passion.
That's what it is. Honestly, man, when I first started training, I wanted to fight. That was my main thing. I want to fight, and I wanted to fight in the UFC like everybody, right? But I started late in life doing this sport, and but I still loved it and still had passion for it. And I was just what can I do with it? Because I had no other really options. I don't have really much of an education. This is my education. It's the best advice I ever got from. I didn't get much advice from my father, man, but the best advice I ever got from him was that if you're gonna do something, at least educate yourself in that, and be educated in doing what you and what you know, right? So I took that advice, and 12 years later, I got a black belt from arguably one of the best black belts in Canada. I've been with the same coach, the same team for the entire time. I can't see myself being anywhere else. It's family. It's family.
That's a great story, man. And I think that's so important, Jesse. Like you said, whatever. I look at it myself kind of the same way. I went to school, travel, I guess, is my kind of background in tourism, but it's certainly not an MBA in business or anything, right? But or a doctor or a lawyer. So I kind of look at myself too as martial arts is my business and my education, and it's really taught me a lot of ups, a lot of downs, whatever. But it's your life, right? And it's a crazy roller coaster sometimes, for sure, man. And I love hearing that. I love hearing success stories too, people who worked hard, and then that's why. I saw you there coaching. I was but I knew you were coaching long before that. But I think it's great. I love seeing people I know who coaching at the highest level or fighting at the highest level. I think it's an incredible thing because I love the sport, man. So I know it's all about Jesse, but it's also about you too. You're a good guy, man.
I'll tell you honestly, man. If it hadn't been with the experience I had with Chokes by the Ocean, I swear to God, I probably would have not be in this position. Dude, until I did that and won, a lot of people kind of doubted me a bit because I'm not the biggest guy. I'm kind of small. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even some of the guys in the gym be like, dude, I tap you out all the time. It's dude, I'm 5'4", 140 pounds, and you're a big, huge MMA fighter. You have a bit of advantage. You know what I mean? It's especially it's not like it's 1993 and no one knows any jiu-jitsu. Everyone knows some jiu-jitsu. Even if you're not that good at it, you still know something, right?
Exactly.
But wasn't until I trained Chad Laprise, and Chad got a win. He fought when he fought Galore. You know, I helped him out with that training camp. He helped me the entire Chokes by the Ocean training camp. Like that was my main training partner, was Chad. You know what I mean? Because I knew John Kelly was a bit bigger, and I figured, if I train with someone big and strong, when he grabs me, I'm not going to freak out, right? Because I knew more than likely he's probably going to take me down, and which he did. He ended up he grabbed that single right away, didn't panic. You know what I mean? So it benefits of training with some real good training partners too. You know what I mean? But that whole experience, like as soon as people see, like maybe Jesse knows what he's talking about, and you know what I mean. And then I got more opportunities. I ended up cornering Malcolm for his title fight. Jesse Ronson for the TKO double title fight that he had. So I've had opportunities based off of all that, man. So it was a great experience, and I'm very thankful to you guys for letting me do it, man. It was awesome. Honestly, I want to come back and do it again. I miss competing a lot, but I just when I got my black belt, I made a decision. Like, I've gotten my goal. Like, this is everything I work towards is like my black belt was everything to me, man. So I'm sure you can relate. You train, man. You know what it's like, the journey. You know what I mean? It's like once you get it, it's like, man, I really reached this. And then I got a lot of students that they got that same dream, they got the same goal. That's what they want. They need somebody that wants to help them, right? So, and I said, I'm going to take 2 years and just focus on the team and get my guys good and ranked up and help build that adrenaline and GFT brand.
Yeah, nice. So cool, man. Well, those are very kind words. I those are the things, like, to me, Jesse, it's funny because people, like, out of all the high level guys that we've had on the show, like, local, Ontario, world level, I speak to maybe 5 or 6 people from outside of the province, right? And it's amazing because, like, I always used to be like, well, why don't they follow up, or want to fight again, or why don't we talk? I thought I was friends with these people, and deep down it's like, man, you're just a one night stand, really. Like, at that point, you're there for a fight, and that's what they're there to put on a show, and that's the relationship you have, right? So it took me a long time to learn that, but there are people like yourself and other people who, like, I notice the passion, like, that's involved, because that's why I do it too. It's not about money or anything like that, and that's what kind of drives me.
God, no.
Fuck no. It's not about money.
No, dude. I tell guys all the time, man. Unless you're like Gordon Ryan, like, you ain't making that much money in this sport. It's like, this has got to be a passion thing, and it got to be, you got to want to do this. You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't believe that anything should be given, man. Everything should be worked for and earned. You know what I mean? Like, I put a lot of years into training and learning, man. Like, I spent the majority of the time learning. You know what I mean? Like, and I still learn. I remember after getting my black belt, coming back to my apartment, and Jake was showing me and Rowan some other stuff that he didn't show at the seminar. And I just remember looking at Rowan, and it's like, I almost want to hand him this belt back and be like, geez, dude, like, what the hell? But, like, Jake is unreal, and the stuff I've managed to pick up off of him has helped me in Rowan's jiu-jitsu, like, tenfold, man, tenfold.
The Houdini? You show you the Houdini?
I don't know. You might have. Like, he showed us a lot, man. I'm telling you, like, Jake's unreal. Like even like, I'm watching him compete, and like, holy shit, like, unreal, man. Like,
quite a bit. Well, I shouldn't say quite a bit. Like, so when we would in Pictou before, like, Jared and Jason and kind of built the club there, we were kind of going between places, and we would always go over to Marmac and train with Scotty Noss and Dan Vanderlands, and Jake would randomly be there sometimes, and Pat Carroll and all those guys. So I've trained with them a few times, man, but I've never rolled with them. I've never rolled with him or done anything like that. But he's one of those guys, man, that I'd have to say, like you say, arguably, I don't know who else, like, would be most successful black belt competition wise in the country.
Yeah, and even out of Canada, like, who's gone to Brazil and lived, like what gringo's gone to Brazil and lived for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Really well. It'll be interesting. It's like, I think he's probably getting close now to being like, okay, I got to focus on a family, or I don't know. You might know more than me, right? But or school or something like that, and come back maybe in a few years or something. But there's a guy who's lived the sport, man. Like you said, went to Brazil he's immersed himself in the lifestyle, man. That's his
Absolutely.
whole, right? Like now he's got a bunch of black belts under him, which is great too. And he's been great for Canadian jiu-jitsu, man, for sure. I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
It's funny.
Oh, yeah.
I have all these interview questions randomly. I'll ask them, and I didn't have to ask one, man. Look at this. Huh?
Right. No problem.
Yeah, for people who aren't aware, so Jesse came out to Chokes by the Ocean, and that's what I'm always amazed at, man. Like people like yourself who are willing to come out and get yourself there and come compete and be so humble in the process. Like I don't give a shit how good you are. I really don't care how good you are. But if you're going to be a good person and a good role model for the sport and come out here and compete and be pleasant to deal with, man, you can compete on anything I do ever. Like, and that's what
I remember you saying that too, man.
It's true.
I totally believe it. I totally believe it too, man. Yeah. Absolutely. And it was like, and it wasn't like I got to be on a card with like Diego Sanchez and Oliver Taza, the whole half of the Danaher squad is on there, man. It's like, that was an awesome experience, dude. Just even, to be a part of it was awesome. It's like, to me, that's historic. Like, happening on the East Coast. Sub only is always been my favorite format. Like I'm not too big on tournaments. For me, it's very, the point game it could get very boring. Even my guys, like I like they'll go to tournaments and I'll make them play the game, and they'll all be like, "Man, that was what the heck was that?" And I'm like, "Dude, that's the game, bro. Like if you wanna win in that, then that's what you got to do. But if you want to fight, fighting's different, and that's the thing about this sport, man. Is like there's kind of styles to jiu-jitsu, and I think a lot of guys don't realize that, man. So I've had a lot of guys come at me and say, "Oh, Jesse should be doing this," and Jesse should be doing, or Chad should have did this. And it's like, man, like it's a fight, guys. It's different, man. Like you can say that, man, when you get mounted and some guy's about to elbow you in the face, like you're gonna give up your back real quick. And honestly, it's a smart thing to do. It's just be very confident in your ability to defend and escape. I mean, it's like sometimes you got to give up position. I always tell the guys, if you got to sacrifice the position, do it.
Man,
do it, man. I mean,
all day long. Someone can sit in my side control and crush me all day long, but I don't give a shit. Like you're not doing anything to me. Like you're putting pressure on me, but what the fuck is the point of this?
Exactly.
You're wasting my time. Like I'm here to roll. I'm like win or lose. I'm here to roll. I'm not here to sit in side control.
And that's the thing, right? Like the sub only format for me was like this is what I want. This is every day I trained for 12 years. Like this was the experience I wanted to fight because it's so open. My favorite grappler of all time is Jeff Glover. And I'll never forget him saying this. I think he said it in a Meta Morris interview. Like this is how obsessive Jeff Glover I am. I watch interviews. Okay. And he literally said, I don't care about having a boring match. I just want to go. Like I want to have an exciting match. Like he doesn't care about winning or losing. So never have a boring match. All right. And that's always been my mindset. Like, cause I haven't won that much in jiu-jitsu, but like the experience of training and competing is beneficial to everyone. I mean, not everyone's going to be a world champion in this sport. Right. Yeah. And I tell guys, man, you really want to be the best. You want to be a world champion, move to California. Go live out there and train with the killers, man, and you'll achieve that, right? You know what I mean? If you're just like looking to do your thing and maybe fight in the UFC, hey man, I know I did corner there, I can help you out, right?
So the world is your oyster, truthfully,
So absolutely. Yeah, like I shouldn't be where I'm at. So for it to happen is it's been awesome.
I hear you, man. I agree, and like there's bad days, good days, but you got to focus on that positive and embrace those days. And at the end of the day, you can always say, well, it can always be worse. That's goddamn true. There's somebody right now in your neighborhood that has it worse, right beside you that has it worse. So cherish the positive moments, man. Keep being a good guy. You're a wonderful person who I've known for a while, and I think you do great things in the community, man. So keep it up, and hopefully we can get you back out here to the East Coast, my man. Jesse,
I appreciate it, brother. Thanks, sir.
Fuck Jesse Gough. Jesse Gough.
Gough.
Jesse Gough. Gough. All right, there it is.
There you go. Right. There it is. Perfect. All right, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thanks for jumping in here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anytime, man. Appreciate it.
Right. Talk soon.
Right. Later.
Whoa, 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 whoa! I'm throwing Andrew on there. I'm off the ball here, folks. Today I'm all wired up. It's this beet juice. Shout out to our sponsors at Beat It Sport. 400 milligrams of nitrates, keeping me fired up here. They got the nitrates going in the brain. It's throwing me off. All right, folks, let's get into our second interview. Again, sponsored by our friends here at Privateer Harley Davidson in Halifax, the East Coast's largest dealership. Check them out online or just outside Halifax or at privateersharleydavidson.com. All right, let's get into it, folks. Our second guest here. This is a gentleman who he trains at Halifax BJJ as well. He trains at Queensberry Rules Boxing in Dartmouth. He's a man of the bar. He's well known in the bar industry across the country, I guess. He's a representative for, I'm going to ask him to talk about that because I'm not a massive drinker. And I don't want to screw up the name like I just screwed up Jesse's last name. So we'll bring him on. He's a talented martial artist, and we kind of want to talk to him. You know, he's involved in the bar and the restaurant hospitality industry and at a pretty high level. So you want to talk to people about like why it's important to know martial arts skills, not just in everyday life, but also in that industry. And I think it is a great, important conversation. And why not start here? So let's bring him on. Without further ado, Mr. Andrew Keys.
How's it going, man? Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for your patience. Nice to finally actually get you on here. I know I've tried it a couple times and I've dropped the ball on you. So thanks for your patience.
That's all right. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining us. How you been today?
I've been great. I walked a big dog, and now I'm just relaxing for the day. So I'm getting ready for this interview.
Nice.
Been a little nervous.
No, oh, nice. No, you'll be good, man. You're good. No, not working tonight. You're off.
Yeah, I'm off. I took the month off for a little mental break from the restaurant, actually, just to kind of actually focus on some more martial arts and a little. Sometimes in the restaurant, you got to kind of take like a couple weeks to yourself because it can be stressful. So I'm glad I'm doing that for my mental health and physical health. So
good for you, man. Very important.
Yeah.
Like my mental health has been a bitch lately. I'm really struggling with it and like keeping positive, and this whole thing is just really tough for everybody. So I think mental breaks, like getting outside, training, like you said, I guess let's get into it with that, Andrew. Like for me, training has changed my life. You know, I've been at it for like 11, 12 years now. And for me, it's a mental outlet. Like I don't give a shit about winning or losing, but I care about when I go there, I don't think about anything else. And I'm around people that I love and enjoy. What got you into it?
I got into it when I did in Cambridge, Ontario.
Nice.
I started in a martial arts Muay Thai called Mass. It was well known in Ontario. I did Muay Thai from 16 to 17, and I moved to Ottawa and started working in restaurants. And then I think it was after my first like breakup, I was like, I gotta get back into this because I was like just working all the time. So I went to Ottawa Academy of Martial Arts in Ottawa.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw these guys rolling on the ground. I'm like, what's going on over there? They're like, oh, that's jiu-jitsu. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, can I try that? And they just threw me a gi that was way too big for me. I'm just like, all right. And then got my ass kicked for a month. And I'm like, okay, this is how you shrimp. This is how you protect yourself. And then right then and there, when I was 19, I was hooked. And it definitely changed my life and how I kind of thought about like treating myself like in a restaurant and just everyday life as well. Because when my friends were going out after work, I was like, no, I got to train in the morning or I got to train at night kind of thing. So I feel like it's very important to, especially like even right now, like with COVID and working long hours in the restaurant, I always preach about it behind the bar that it's good to get into jiu-jitsu, boxing, any type of martial art.
Yeah.
So
cool. I love that. So and then what brought you out here? Like you're originally from Ontario. What kind of got you out here? School or?
No, my mentor who taught me in Ottawa at a bar downtown. He's from Halifax, so he moved out here to start his business, and I just kind of followed him out here and just took a chance. I didn't know anyone else out here except him, and I just flew out here 2.5 years ago, and I was like, shit, I need to do jiu-jitsu again. I found BJJ Society, and I was like, thank God. So.
That's awesome, man. Cool. Good for you. I love stories like that. You just like, I'm kind of the same way. I traveled a lot and just kind of moved and did things and followed my passions or whatever. And I think that's huge. What, like, do you notice any massive differences between the East Coast and Ontario being now?
Oh, for sure. Like coming from like Ottawa, like it's a bigger city, obviously, but like coming out here, people are a lot more nicer. Like people welcome you with like open arms when I got here. Ottawa's a little different, but yeah, I made tons of friends, tons of connections. And I feel like I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna settle down here with someone and just like I want to live out here for the rest of my life because I love it out here.
That's good. I love hearing that, dude. And it's funny the difference. I lived in Ontario for a while too, and in
What part?
right in Toronto, right on King West, right
Yeah.
for quite a while. And I worked in the bar industry too, and I was never a good bartender, so I could never get a job as a bartender. So I was always like a busser.
Any restaurants you remember you working at in Toronto?
Well, I'll tell you one. It was called the Underground.
Okay.
You know the Underground? Probably wouldn't remember that. So,
No.
well, I think it's still called the Underground. It's called the Underground Garage, I think now.
Okay.
I might not even be there. It was like right on King and Bathurst, almost kind of thing, right in the corner.
I mean, there's so many restaurants there, right, popping up and shutting down.
Yeah, and this was like back when you could smoke inside too, right?
Okay.
Like, this is like, probably like 2008 to 2005 to 8, something around there. But good times, man. A lot of time spent there, and the brass, right? I mean, other places, but no, a lot of fun, good times up in Toronto, man. It's a good city, but what I think about here in Halifax, it's kind of like a mini version, man. Like there's some really good restaurants in Dartmouth. Like we'll go back into martial arts here, but obviously you're involved with a new bar here in Dartmouth.
Pardon me, sorry?
The scene is really good. Like craft beer, good food, restaurants. Like I love it.
Yeah, in like the last like 10 years, like you couldn't even get a good cocktail. And the last the last 3-4 years, like the cocktail scene has gone up. The restaurant industry the quality of it is raised, and we're known around the country now for our food and drink, which is great.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Halifax is making a lot of noise in the restaurant scene and bar scene right now. So
perfect. That's good. I love hearing that because it's all, again, like that's a thing. Like it's such a huge goddamn risk. There's a lot of people, man. Like even that, like dear friend, that's a big risk. But you look at the place, it's a beautiful spot. I've been in twice now. I haven't.
Oh, amazing! How'd you like it?
Great. Sat on the patio both times. Every time I'm there, I think it's the flower shop, but the flower shop's still there.
Yeah, I know it's right, but it's still like it looks like it's a part of it. It's confusing, I know. But
was it a bike shop?
Pardon me?
Was it a bike shop before, or is the bike shop still there?
The bike shop's right here. Dear friend's here. Then the flower shop's here. So dear friend's right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt and Jeff, Matt Boyle and Jeff Van Horn, they own the Clever Barkeep, and they worked their asses off to open that place, and it's doing very well.
Cool. Well, that's because of a lot of people like you, man. Like, I guess we'll kind of, with that segue, we'll get back into martial arts and like kind of why it's important for people who are in the industry, because it's kind of an interesting conversation, because I think it actually is super important. You know, like when people think of a bouncer, you know, which I don't know how many bouncers train martial arts, maybe 1 or 2 of the staff. I don't know.
I mean, they all should. But
maybe they all should, for sure. It's almost like the cop thing in the States or here, right? Like now it's illegal to choke somebody in Nova Scotia if you're a police officer. They made it illegal. Like,
but then what's the other option? You have to like hit their head, or like, you know what I mean? It's safer to choke someone and restrain them than like use aggressive. I don't know. That's a touchy conversation, right? But I'm on your side.
Yeah, that's it. It's an interesting, but I'm like, are majority of people that you know in that industry, like in the hospitality industry, how many people do you know that actually train?
There's one guy at Dear Friend that does boxing, but other than that, like, it's kind of funny when, like, even in Ottawa or here, I'm like sitting there after or like coming from jiu-jitsu, setting up the bar. I'm like, guys, you gotta try jiu-jitsu, man. And then they're like, like, how much is it a month? I'm like, it's like $100 a month, let's say.
Yeah.
They're like, it's too expensive. I'm like, I just saw you drop 120 last night at the bar. You know what I mean? Like, you got to put your money, like, you can invest money into drinking and like, or like going out and not kind of benefiting yourself, or you can put $200 a month into your mental health, physical health, which will help you perform better as a server, bouncer, bartender. So I can't stop preaching that, because I've struggled with like substance abuse throughout the years of restaurants, and and bartending, even working in kitchens at a young age, there was always drugs and alcohol around.
Sure.
I recently just decided I'm going to go sober, so I'm going to be a sober bartender.
Awesome.
So that's
man.
and that's going to help with training as well, because like I'm not going to show up kind of hungover, and so I just decided to do that, which is I'm really happy about. But it's a little weird trying to approach that in the restaurant industry, but it's possible. And how I'm like excited about it, I'm just like, well, it's just going to help with training. So
I'll tell you, man, it will help with training tenfold. And it's important that you're saying that on here too. Because man, it's important to be like, fuck, I'm doing this. Like I'm doing it. I don't drink much at all. And I'll tell you, Andrew, if I have like 1 or 2 drinks or even more, the next day when I train, I'm screwed. Like I feel it. I can't breathe. I'm like,
hello?
Yeah, are you still there? There you are. You hear me?
Uh-oh.
You hear me, buddy?
Trouble connection.
All right, we'll just bring you out. We'll bring him right back. Sorry,
shit.
technical difficulties here, folks. Dun, dun, dun. Good old Halifax Wi-Fi. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. We're having a technical glitch. Again, thanks to our sponsors here at Beat It and Privateer Harley-Davidson for this fantastic episode. I've got to say, these beat shots are really delicious. I got to say, quite impressed. Quite impressed. Let's see if we can get Andrew back on here, folks. Dun, dun, dun. Looks like we're having a little trouble, but for anybody, there he is. See if we can get it back on here.
Sorry, what's happened?
No, sometimes just Wi-Fi. There's a lot of shit going on. A lot of people streaming stuff, and it's all good. The only problem is I don't know what we were talking about, like people in the industry, and then you going sober, and like just man, like I smoke weed. That's what I do for my mental health, and you know. Like I was saying about drinking, like if I drink, have 2 drinks, and then go train the next day, I feel it, man. Like I'm sluggish, and it's not. And going back again to the bar and hospitality industry, like it's so hard to do that. Like you're a bartender. Everybody wants you to have a drink with them or whatever, right? So good for you.
Well, it's a transition of like being being like that bartender who like, cause I was that bartender who was out drinking all the time, and then I slowly got like a little more professional. But I think this is like the good switch of like, okay, I'm gonna like take care of my mental health, physical health, so I can be the best on the mats, or like work my way up to being very like training, and then working behind the bar and being like mentally there and fit for service, I guess.
Yeah, very well said, man. I think it's important, like for service. Like how many people do you know in this industry? I've worked on cruise ships. Like for a little bit of background about me, I worked on cruise ships for like 6 years for Disney as well. And then I'm in the travel industry, so I take people on like luxury vacations, like seniors on luxury vacations around the world. That's kind of my job. And then that shit the bed, obviously, with COVID again. But so I know all about service, man, and how important it is, and how bullshit, for the most part, people suck at it.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to me. Make eye contact and be nice, and like that's all you need. You're gonna make some money.
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple. It's a simple idea, but people can fuck it up.
Yeah, and I think lack of training, I think, is a big thing too, right? Like people get stagnant and a little bit like in
they get too comfortable.
Big time, and that's why when you go to like a place like Dear Friend or any of these new places, for example, that like Clever Bar or whatever, and it's people like you at the bar who are fresh. They're like you say, you're mentally ready, you're excited for the job. You're not just like, what do you want, right?
Yeah.
And I will say that Halifax has good service, man. I gotta say, like you get random shitty ones, but I gotta say, I love the scene here.
Yeah, me too. And I love the martial arts scene here is great. I didn't really know much about Halifax or the martial arts scene, but BJJ Society has been fantastic when I started. Because it's just BJJ, no other, like there's no Muay Thai guys in the corner, or like, you know what I mean? So it's everyone just all about jiu-jitsu there. And then obviously I just started at Queensbury, and they're an awesome gym. But yeah, it's funny with jiu-jitsu. You have to. Thank God. I didn't think we were gonna be able to train for a long time, but we were in like certain bubbles, like training bubbles. So we can only train with the same people for the next however long. But it's funny. It's funny. You get a bond with those people you probably wouldn't have got a bond with a bigger class.
Yeah, so, true.
And it's kind of like private lessons when there's only like 7 people there and an instructor. Like you have more focus to like refine your skills when the instructor's focused on less people. So yeah, it's kind of working out really well, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad for those guys too. They've worked hard at doing that, and it's a great gym. So it's nice to see people being successful, and hopefully other gyms can. I know other gyms are doing the same, but
is there any other? Sorry, like, is there any other like what other big gyms are around Halifax, or I guess Dartmouth, Halifax?
So there's quite a few actually, like in no particular order, I guess. Like if you're looking for like MMA, you know, if that's what you're looking for, Peter and Gavin over there at Titans and Pat and all that crew at Titans would be they got great jiu-jitsu and everything too. Obviously, you have Clinch out in Sackville, Victory Jiu-Jitsu out in Sackville. You have Forza in Cole Harbor, Fit Plus in Dartmouth. And then all the boxing clubs. Who else? 374 in Kemp Road. Manimal Athletics out in Lucasville. Man, the list goes on and on. I don't know what other clubs. There's got to be other clubs too that I'm missing, like judo clubs.
Still cutting out here. Damn it.
Dun, dun, dun. That's okay. Can't hear me anymore, eh? God damn internet. You'll have to bring yourself out and bring yourself back in again. We're having some audio issues and Wi-Fi issues with Mr. Keys, folks. My apologies. Again, we're just chatting about dealing and working in the bar hospitality industry here in Nova Scotia and learning martial arts at the same time. So we're kind of chatting about that with Andrew Keys, a well-known bartender and guy here in the Halifax area. So let's get him back on here right quick. All right, buddy.
Hey, what's up?
No, it's not your fault. It happens sometimes. So that's the beauty of the internet, man. Patience.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
People don't want to watch, they can fast forward or get out of here. Whatever.
Yeah. What happens when it cuts out? Does it just like go to your face and then I get connected back in, I guess? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
And then like keep jabbing along and then bring you back on. It's all good.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. No, we're good, man. So but now again, I forget what we're talking about. Are you talking about Halifax Jiu-Jitsu and the bubbles and how nice it is?
Yes. Yeah.
And all the different clubs in Nova. That's just in the HRM, man. Like the scene has really exploded here in the last little bit, and it's because of a lot of different factors, a lot of different people working together and stuff, and it's good, man. It's a great scene out here on the East Coast, and it's for the most part a pretty positive scene, to be honest. Like there are lots of other scenes that are not the same.
Like what scenes if you don't like
the martial arts scene, you know?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You're saying which ones aren't?
Like in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. Yeah.
Quebec's a good show, no question. Yeah. And it's weird, man. Like I don't know if it's gonna come out better. Are you still there? Did I lose you again? We're having some audio issues with Mr. Keys, folks. Not sure what's going on here. But we'll try one more time to bring him on here. My apologies for this. For anybody who is paying attention, episode 100 coming up next week, episode 100. Pretty excited for that one. Actually, Sunday night we got a great episode as well. Sunday night we got Mr. Matt McGrath, Dijon Kajic. Well, I'm going to fix that pronunciation so he doesn't murder me before we bring him on. And then, of course, Ontario's own Lyndon Whitlock. That'll be Sunday night. But episode 100 next week. Really excited for that one. We have some heavy hitters coming on that episode. We got TJ Grant, Mark Hominick, Braulio Estima, and Stuart Cooper. Oh, and also Frank Trigg. Fantastic episode. Super excited for that one. And big giveaway as well. So make sure you tune in for that one. And we'll try to get Andrew on here again. Not really sure what's going on with his Wi-Fi. But there he is. He's outside now. Let's see if we can get him on here for one last spin, kick at the can. Dun, dun, dun. Not looking good, Andrew. The old Wi-Fi for Andrew is not looking good, unfortunately. But that's okay, folks. We got a little bit of good information for him on martial arts and the hospitality industry here in Halifax. So we'll pump him up again. We'll get him on. It's important to talk to people like that who are training martial arts and getting involved in our sport out here, and you know who's kind of be a help and a leader for them. So it's good to hear Halifax Jiu-Jitsu is a place that he loves and enjoys training, and wherever it happens to be that you actually train, hopefully you'll continue to training and be supportive, be a good uki or training partner, as they say. And yeah, we'll go from there. Anyway, folks, have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back again, like I said, with episode 98 on Sunday. Another one on Monday with the Dodge Sports Edition. And then, as I said, episode 100 coming up on Tuesday with Mark Hominick, TJ Grant, Braulio Estima, Frank Trigg, and Stuart Cooper. Fantastic. Super excited for that episode. And yeah, we'll go from there. We'll try to get Andrew back on here at another time. We'll see if we can get him on and get his internet working a little bit better, or our internet. Sometimes that happens, folks. So no big deal at all. We'll get him on with 3 or 4 other gentlemen or ladies from the community here in Halifax. We'll do a little hospitality roundtable or something like that. Anyway, folks, if you're out there, I would say please be kind, but that's what Alan said, and supposedly she's a bitch. So I guess I won't say that. Anyway, be good to one another out there, folks. Lots of love. We'll catch you Sunday. We're out.
Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, thanks to our friends and sponsors. Without you, none of this is possible.